Russia, a vast land of forests, steppes and icy tundra. In the year 1672, a future Tsar was born. His name was Peter, the son of Tsar Alexei. Peter's early life was a mix of privilege and turmoil. He witnessed court intrigues and power struggles. These experiences shaped his character. They ignited a desire for a stronger, more modern Russia. Peter's father, Tsar Alexei, died when Peter was just 4 years old. His older half-brother, Fyodor III, became Tsar. Fyodor was a sickly ruler. He died in 1682, leaving Russia in a precarious position. Peter, just 10 years old, and his half-brother Ivan were named co-Tsars. Their older sister, Sophia, acted as regent. This arrangement was short-lived. Sophia had her own ambitions. In 1689, Peter, now 17, challenged Sophia's regency. He had the support of the Streltsy, the powerful Moscow Guard. Sophia was forced to step down. Peter and Ivan became joint rulers in their own right. However, Ivan was sickly and uninterested in ruling. Peter effectively became the sole Tsar of Russia. He was ready to embark on a mission to transform his nation. Peter the Great inherited a Russia that lagged behind Western Europe. He dreamed of a modern, powerful Russia, one that could compete on the world stage. Peter's vision was clear. He wanted to modernize Russia's military. He wanted to reform its government and economy. He wanted to open up his nation to Western ideas and technology. Peter was fascinated by Western technology. He studied shipbuilding, navigation, and military engineering. He believed that Russia needed to adopt these advancements to survive. Peter's ambition was not merely to catch up with the West, he wanted to surpass it. He envisioned a Russia that was a major naval power, a Russia with a modern army, a Russia that was a center of learning and culture. Peter's vision was bold. It would require radical changes. He was determined to drag Russia into the modern era. He was not afraid to challenge long-held traditions. He knew that resistance from the old guard was inevitable, but Peter was not a man to be deterred. He was ready to face any opposition to achieve his goals. In 1697, Peter embarked on a remarkable journey. He traveled incognito to Western Europe. He spent 18 months abroad, immersing himself in Western culture and technology. He worked as a shipyard worker in the Netherlands. He studied astronomy and anatomy in England. He met with scientists, philosophers, and artists. Peter's journey was not just about acquiring knowledge, it was about forging alliances. He sought to build relationships with European powers. He hoped to gain their support in his upcoming conflicts with the Ottoman Empire and Sweden. These were obstacles to his ambitions in the south and the Baltic Sea. Peter's time in the West had a profound impact on him. He returned to Russia more determined than ever. He was filled with new ideas and a burning desire to implement them. He brought back skilled workers, engineers, and military experts. They would help him realize his vision for a new Russia. His journey marked a turning point in Russian history. It signaled Russia's opening to the West. Upon his return, Peter launched into a whirlwind of reforms. He aimed to transform every aspect of Russian life. He reorganized the government. He introduced new taxes and modernized the economy. He reformed the army and created a powerful navy. He changed how Russians dressed and even how they shaved their beards. Peter's reforms were met with resistance. Many saw them as a betrayal of Russian traditions. The boyars, Russia's traditional nobility, clung to their power and privileges. Peter's response was swift and brutal. He crushed opposition ruthlessly. He consolidated his own power. He established a system of absolute monarchy. He demanded obedience from all his subjects. One of Peter's most significant reforms was the introduction of a meritocratic system in the military and government. He believed that talent and loyalty were more important than birthright. He promoted talented individuals from humble backgrounds. He created a new class of educated professionals. They would serve the state and drive his modernization efforts. Peter's reforms were often harsh and unpopular, but they laid the foundation for a more modern and powerful Russian state. Section 5. A new army, modernizing Russia's forces. Peter knew that a strong military was essential to achieve his goals. He inherited an army that was outdated and inefficient. He set about transforming it into a modern fighting force. He introduced new training methods, weapons and tactics. He modeled his new army on those of Western Europe. Peter established a system of conscription. This ensured a steady supply of recruits for his growing army. He built new arsenals and factories to produce weapons and ammunition. He hired foreign military experts to train his troops. He instilled a new sense of discipline and professionalism in the Russian army. Peter's reforms transformed the Russian military. His new army was larger, better equipped, and better trained than ever before. It would prove its worth in the coming years. It would secure Russia's borders. It would expand its territory. It would establish Russia as a major European power. Section 6, Securing the Seas, the Azov Campaigns. Peter's ambitions extended beyond Russia's land borders. He recognized the importance of sea power. He wanted to secure access to the Black Sea. This was controlled by the Ottoman Empire. In 1695, Peter launched his first major military campaign. He aimed to capture the Ottoman fortress of Azov. Peter's first attempt to capture Azov ended in failure. The Russian army lacked a proper navy. It could not break through the Ottoman defenses. Undeterred, Peter was determined to learn from his mistakes. He ordered the construction of a new fleet. He personally supervised the shipbuilding efforts. In 1696, Peter launched a second campaign against Azov. This time, the Russians had a fleet of warships. They were able to blockade the fortress. After a 2-month siege, Azov fell to the Russians. This victory gave Russia its first access to the Black Sea. It marked a turning point in Russian history. Russia was no longer a landlocked power. It was ready to become a player on the world stage. There's a Section 7, the Great Northern War, a clash of titans. The Great Northern War was a defining conflict of Peter's reign. It began in 1700. It pitted Russia against Sweden. Sweden was a major military power at the time. Peter saw Sweden as an obstacle to his ambitions. He wanted to secure access to the Baltic. The early years of the war were difficult for Russia. In 1700, the Swedish king, Charles XII, inflicted a crushing defeat on the Russians at the Battle of Narva. Peter used the defeat to rebuild and modernize his army. In 1709, the Russians decisively defeated the Swedes at Poltava. The war ended in 1721 with the Treaty of Nystad. Sweden ceded large territories to Russia, including Estonia, Latvia, and parts of Finland. Russia had established itself as a major power in the Baltic region. Section 8, Saint Petersburg, a window to the west. In 1703, Peter the Great founded a new capital city. He built it on the banks of the Neva River and named it Saint Petersburg. It was more than just a new capital. It was a symbol of Peter's vision for Russia, a window to the west, a center of trade, culture, and enlightenment. Peter brought in the best architects and engineers. They designed grand palaces, cathedrals, and government buildings. He ordered the construction of canals and bridges, transforming the city into a Venice of the north. Peter wanted a city to rival the great capitals of Europe. The construction was a monumental undertaking, requiring the labor of thousands of workers. But Peter was relentless in his pursuit of his vision. Today, St. Petersburg stands as a testament to Peter the Great's ambition and legacy. Section 9, Legacy of Change, Peter the Great's impact. Peter the Great died in 1725. He left behind a transformed Russia. He had dragged his nation into the modern era. He had expanded its borders, built a powerful military, and created a new capital city. He had reformed the government, modernized the economy, and introduced Western ideas and technology. Peter's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a ruthless ruler. He was not afraid to use force to achieve his goals. His reforms came at a high human cost. But he was also a visionary leader. He understood that Russia needed to change to survive. He laid the foundation for Russia's emergence as a major European power. Peter's reforms had a profound and lasting impact on Russian society. They led to the creation of a more centralized and powerful state. They fostered the growth of a new educated elite. They opened up Russia to Western influences. Peter's reign marked a turning point in Russian history. It set the stage for Russia's rise as a global power in the centuries that followed. Section 10, Conclusion, a Tsar who shaped a nation. Peter the Great's story is a tale of ambition, determination, and transformation. He was a Tsar who was not content with the status quo. He dared to dream of a different future for his nation. He was willing to challenge traditions and overcome immense obstacles to achieve his goals. He was a Tsar who left an indelible mark on Russia's history. Today, Peter the Great's legacy continues to be debated and discussed. Some view him as a hero, they see him as the father of modern Russia. Others criticize his authoritarian methods, they point to the human cost of his reforms, but there is no doubt that Peter the Great was a transformative figure. He was a Tsar who reshaped Russia in his own image. He left behind a legacy that continues to shape Russia's destiny to this day.